Hi, my name is Jeremy Brunansky, and you're about to watch a brand new episode of Brunanskys Vlog. This is a weekly show that drops every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube. In this show, we cover movie news, movie reviews, and a little bit more. If this is your first time with us, consider clicking that subscribe button. For everybody who's returning, thank you so much. And as always, if you enjoy any portion of this show, give me that thumbs up button. Let's go ahead and cut now to this week's episode. Good morning, it's 10 a.m. PST here on YouTube, and that means it's time for another episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Thanks so much for stopping by. This week we got a lot of great news stories dropping in the news segment. Right after that, we'll be looking at two movie reviews for two films that I was able to get out to see, Peter Rabbit and The 1517 to Paris. If you have any inclination on seeing either of those films in theaters, I would recommend that you go ahead and stick around past the news segment so you can catch my thoughts on those two films currently in theaters. After that, we're going to take a look at what's arriving at your local movie theater this week. Spoiler alert, Marvel has a new film, Black Panther. So we're going to talk all about Black Panther as well as the other films that are dropping in theaters. Immediately after that, we'll take a look at what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater. And finally, we'll conclude with my personal favorite segment, Certified Rad. If this is your first time joining us this week, thank you so much for joining the movie fan community here on this page. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you enjoy any portion of this week's show. Also, don't forget to click that subscribe button and push the bell so you don't miss any notifications as soon as new content drops on the channel. All right, everyone, I don't want to take up any more of your time with this introduction, so let's just go ahead and move right into the movie news segment. It's 10 a.m. PST. You're on YouTube watching Brunansky's Vlog. Let's go ahead and cut now to this week's news. In the news, Universal and Legendary land the rights for a new Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson action film, Red Notice, with Ross and Thurber writing and directing. Link for the Deadline article in the description box below. So I'm actually a big fan of this news because I like the direction that The Rock's career right now is headed. Ross and Thurber and him are teaming up again to make this film, and we have to wait and see what Skyscraper does and how we enjoy that film, because Rawson also directed that film. So we have to kind of wait and see how well received that film is. Also, what do we think of it once it comes out and we have an opportunity to see it? And then from there, we can kind of gauge our excitement levels a little bit more and say plus or minus, yay or nay on this news. So right now, this film is reported to be costing around $125 million. So if Skyscraper doesn't really knock us out of the park in a fun adventure action kind of way, then I think this next film could be a little problematic for us and as far as our excitement level is concerned. Because if him and The Rock make Skyscraper and it just doesn't work at all and we just walk out of the theater like, what did we just see? That was a horrible follow-up to Jumanji. I don't really think our excitement's going to be there for this new film that we don't really have a lot of info on. But before we rest our excitement too much on just Skyscraper, let's look back at some of his other work that Rawson's done so we can kind of have a better understanding of maybe where this new film and this new IP is headed. So as far as directing goes, Rawson has got more comedies under his belt than he does, say, just straight action films. However, he does have at least one action comedy on here that I did particularly enjoy. So Rawson's been working on comedies going all the way back to 2004 when he did the movie Dodgeball, a true underdog story with Ben Stiller and Vince Vaughn. And then going forward, there's We Are the Millers, We Are the Millers 2, and then Central Intelligence that he did with The Rock and Kevin Hart. And if you haven't seen Central Intelligence, I definitely recommend checking that out because that is now available on DVD and Blu-ray. So you should be able to also find that on a streaming service if you prefer the digital medium. So he has comedic directing experience. He's also got that one action comedy with Central Intelligence. So I'm curious to see what he can do with Skyscraper, which feels like it's that first big action adventure film that he's really going to do. And if that pans out well, and then we can look back and see kind of where his talents are as far as comedy goes and try and find a nice blending of the two, I think this could really be a fun film depending upon who else is going to star in it along with The Rock. And since he's also writing this, it's important to look at what else he's written. And he did write Dodgeball, a true underdog story. He also wrote Central Intelligence and Skyscraper. So 3 of the films that he's directed, he's also helped write. And I think that should actually give us a little bit more confidence as far as what he can do with a brand new franchise if he's going to be writing and directing it. Plus with The Rock, there's a guaranteed level that we can kind of set our expectations at for action and adventure and comedy now that I think is also pretty comforting when we're looking at a brand new property that we know nothing about. So for us as movie lovers and movie fans, I think this is really good news, and it kind of gives us a little bit of confidence that we can say, okay, we don't know what this is, but we can almost guarantee that it's going to be enjoyable to a point because of the two people who are right now starting up this brand new project. And in the Deadline article in the description box below, it even goes on to use the term tentpole film, which means that this could be like a big summer blockbuster that we can really be excited about. So fingers crossed that the more information and the more news that breaks about this story, the more excited we can get. And again, I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to co-star in this with The Rock, as well as all the other ancillary characters that are going to be present throughout the film and who they're actually going to bring in to kind of tie up some of those roles. So go ahead and throw your comments in the comments section below and let us know what you think about these two guys coming back together to create a brand new IP for us to enjoy on the big screen. James Mangold is set to direct a Ford versus Ferrari film for 20th Century Fox. Link for the Variety article in the description box below. I think this is pretty good news. However, I understand that some people might be like, why? Because if you aren't a fan of race cars and the history of racing and stuff like that, I understand why you might be kind of underwhelmed with this news. If you aren't familiar with the story, it takes place before the 1966 Le Mans, where Ford actually is trying to create a brand new car. So he sets out a team to try and create something brand new that's never been seen before, to actually try and rival the Ferrari and beat the Ferrari in the Le Mans Championship. So this sounds like it has all the ingredients required to make a film that really looks at struggle, perseverance, creativity, teamwork, overcoming obstacles, overcoming challenges, believing in yourself, seeing what is capable of happening, and then working towards that against all odds. And from the initial onset here, it sounds like it has everything that would be necessary to tell a great human piece about achievement, overcoming adversity. But if you aren't familiar with James Mangold as a director, I can also see why you might be like, well, I don't know, didn't he do those Wolverine movies? And yes, you would be right. He did the Wolverine, which was not great. However, he did follow it up then with Logan, which was incredible. In 2005, he did Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash story, which was an incredible film. In 2007, he did 3:10 to Yuma with Christian Bale and Russell Crowe, and is still in my top 10 favorite Westerns of all time. And then in 2010, he did Night and Day with Cameron Diaz and Tom Cruise, which, while it wasn't an amazing spy thriller, it was just a fun kind of spy action flick that you can just turn on a Sunday afternoon, and it doesn't really require a lot of brain power. And then in 2013, he unfortunately did The Wolverine, which was a really big stinker. If you're a fan of the X-Men movies and like Fox and everything that they were doing with the Wolverine character with Hugh Jackman, this definitely felt like a disappointment and a step in the wrong direction. However, in 2017, last year, he redeems himself with Logan, again, another Wolverine movie starring Hugh Jackman, but this was an incredibly well-made film, an incredibly beautiful told story that really looks at like a coming of age and seeing who you are as you're changing and accepting the new responsibilities and roles that life offers you. Just a phenomenal film, and if you haven't seen Logan, definitely recommend you check that out because it is available on DVD and Blu-ray, and you can also find it on your streaming services. So overall, as we look back over what he's done as a director, it really looks like he's found pieces that focus on people, which I think is exactly what's needed if you're going to tell a story about people trying to create something brand new. Because I don't believe for one second that this new film is just going to be a film about how a car is created. I think it's going to be about the people and the struggle that those people go through to create something brand new that the world hasn't seen to compete against the top car in that field. So it's really going to look at relationships. It's going to look at what people have to overcome in their personal lives, what people have to overcome in a group setting, what the field of competition is in their actual workforce, in their field of like employment. I just think this could be a really great human piece. And James Mangold, if you, again, as we look back over what he's done, he actually has a pretty good roster of films that showcases his ability to bring out those qualities that make individuals unique take and make those individuals a worthwhile watch on the big screen. 3:10 to Yuma is a Western, yes, but again, it looks at the lives and the personalities of the people involved in that story, and it's not so black and white. There's nuances throughout that film as far as character development goes, and again, I think this is a good choice for this new film. I don't think it's going to be about the cars, I think it's going to be about the people, and I think James Mangold has actually set himself up as someone that we can look to and say, okay, we see what you've done, can you do it again? Or are we going to get another The Wolverine? Fingers crossed that it's more like Logan and 3:10 to Yuma as far as character development and story goes, more than The Wolverine, and I think we'll be alright once this film hits theaters. Steven Spielberg's Amblin Partners have optioned for a World War II story based on a book by Judy Battlehan. The book is titled Daughters of the Resistance: Valor, Fury, and the Untold Story of Women Resistance Fighters in Hitler's Ghettos. Link for the Hollywood Reporter article in the show notes below. If we look at the pattern that Hollywood is kind of moving towards with more female-centric and female-led films, I think this is a great pickup for Steven Spielberg. He does really, really well telling stories that kind of date specifically within that World War II timeline. He has a great grasp on how to deliver these stories in that time period. And yes, it is going to be another period piece film that he does, but when you do something really well, why not continue to do that? Because as an audience, we enjoy those films, judging from the critical response and the box office and everything else. So why not allow him to continue making films that he's good at making and then delivering them to us so we can enjoy them and talk about them on shows like this or at your local coffee shop. So I think this could be a really cool story. Now, I haven't read the book. If you've read the book, go ahead and throw your comments below about what your thoughts are overall as far as the book is concerned and what you hope to see from the book brought to the big screen. Because most people know that not everything in a book is going to be taken out and then adapted for screen. There's always stuff that's left behind or stuff that's kind of adjusted to make it work for the big screen, because what makes sense on paper might not necessarily translate very well to the big screen. So leave your thoughts below if you've read the book and let us know what you hope makes it from the book onto the big screen. So again, even though I haven't read the book, just the idea of these women resistance fighters kind of working this underground scene during World War II and trying to combat all of the evil and all of the hatred that Hitler was known for, I think could be a very powerful story. And again, with Hollywood kind of moving towards these more female-led, female-centric hero pieces, I think this fits right into this new zeitgeist that's popular right now, and I think it could really, really work really well. And with Steven Spielberg attached to show the heroic story of these women, it's a little early to say, but I think we could even be leaning towards Oscar considerations if we get a stellar cast of just like top-notch, grade A level talent performers from female actors, and then everybody else who's going to be involved in making this film. From just the initial onset, from just the initial news, it sounds like this could be really big and could be like a really powerful period piece that looks at what these women were doing to combat all of this evil that we saw during World War II from Nazi Germany and their effect moving through Europe. But again, if you've read the book that this film is going to be based off of, please do comment below and let us know what you thought, and also if we should check this book out. Honorable mentions: the 50 Shades franchise tops $1 billion worldwide. Jake Gyllenhaal, Ansel Elgort, and Zendaya to star in the crime thriller Finest Kind. Diane Kruger and Eric Bana in talks to star in the spy thriller The Operative. Paramount and Imagine Entertainment are teaming up to adapt the autobiography of Gucci Mane for the big screen. Timothée Chalamet is set to star as a young King Henry V in The King. Michael Bay is in talks to direct a Lobo film for DC Warner. Alright, and that wraps up the news this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the topics that we discussed here as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you. If you did enjoy them, go ahead and give me that thumbs up, because again, the thumbs up helps other people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show on YouTube. We're gonna go ahead and segue now into the movie review segment. I was able to get out to the theater to see 2 films this past week. Those 2 films were Peter Rabbit and the 1517 to Paris. So let's go ahead and roll to those movie reviews right now. On August 21st, 2015, a terrorist riding a passenger train from Amsterdam to Paris opened fire using an automatic rifle. The gun jammed, providing 4 passengers aboard that train a small window of opportunity to subdue the man and prevent him from injuring any more people aboard that train. It was the heroic and brave actions of these 4 men that saved the life of all of the innocent people aboard that train. So, does the 1517 to Paris deliver the emotional intensity a real-life hero's tale should portray? Or should we skip this train altogether? Let's dive in and take a look in this review. First, we'll talk about the story because I feel the story was a bit muddled in how it was actually told. Now, we know from the trailers, and possibly our own memories of the actual event that took place in real life, that there was a terrorist aboard a train headed to Paris, France, that opened fire and injured some folks. In my opinion, it wasn't necessary to show us part of that event and then cut back to when the heroes were kids, in school, going through basic training, etc. So if we are to see their backstory, their lives leading up to this moment, so that when the moment does happen, we understand why they acted in such a heroic way, that's perfectly fine. I understand the importance of that. However, please keep the flow of the story steady. Don't jump back and forth, because then by the time we do get to the climactic ending where we see the terrorist attack, it's something that we haven't seen yet before in this film. It's not just rehashing bits and pieces of what we've seen previous in the film and from the trailers, so that it feels repetitive and unnecessary. The trailer did a great job of showing us the lone gunman who is about to start shooting passengers. We know that's coming in this movie. Also, this film felt more like a self-made or self-shot documentary about their trip kind of going around Europe and seeing Europe as friends, more than it did an actual movie. And I'm not gonna compare it to low-budget shaky cam films, but I won't say that it's so far removed that there are no similarities. Because this movie actually uses the real-life heroes to tell the story, I feel that's why it felt more self-made than Hollywood produced. The supporting cast in this film was also incredibly talented, which really surprised me. However, on screen, it felt like they were directed to kind of dial back or dial down their acting talent, so that it didn't really highlight or showcase the inadequacies the real-life heroes had as actors. But these guys aren't actors. They're real-life heroes. We already understand this going into the film. Let them be themselves, let everybody else in the supporting cast perform at the level we know they're capable of, and we'll be just fine as an audience. We suspend disbelief for franchises like the Transformers, Jurassic Park, and all the Marvel movies. We can allow real people to perform as they would, considering they have no real experience acting for film or stage. The 1517 to Paris is playing at your local movie theater right now. And I will recommend a big screen viewing if you enjoy historical biopics. This story doesn't set out to actually retell the tale of the terrorist attack on that train, but to introduce us to the real-life heroes who saved all of those people that day. This film asks us to spend time getting to know these men, their upbringing, their backgrounds, their friendship, and personal religious beliefs. Then, at the final third act of the film, we see them become the heroes that we know they're destined to be. However, at best, this is just a mediocre film, which is incredibly surprising because of the level of talent that was involved in making this picture come to life on the big screen. While this film isn't terrible, it's not going to be winning any Academy Awards either. It's a story about individuals, family, friendship, duty, honor, and belief. Unfortunately, the film doesn't land as genuinely as I believe it wanted to, and because of that, it's getting 0 high fives from this guy. The 1517 to Paris is playing at your local movie theater right now. The Tale of Peter Rabbit is a story that is familiar to many of us because we've grown up with it. The rascal rabbit who continues to vex Mr. McGregor as his garden is ravaged time and time again continues to be shared with the new youthful generation time and time again. So, does Peter Rabbit deliver a fresh visual story to an old popular tale, or is this movie rotten? Let's dive in and take a look in this review. The story is actually told 3 separate ways. First, we're introduced to a group of birds who enjoy telling their story by song. Initially, I was caught off guard because I was not aware that this would be a musical in any part. The term musical is appropriate because the birds are literally introducing us to this world and moving the plot forward with songs specific to the events that are happening on screen. However, these moments are brief. Even in its briefness, it still evolves into a fun running joke throughout the whole movie. So when you see that the birds are on screen, you're going to want to get ready for some humor. Additionally, the use of popular songs also helps drive the plot forward. And it does so with character movements that are almost choreographed to those songs, again, similar to a musical. The second is a nice blending of live action and animation, as we saw in the trailers leading up to the theatrical release. I am continually impressed with how far animation has come in movie making. The expressions on the animals, their movements, their gestures, how these would appear were actually a big concern for me walking into the theater. I had a hope that these would all look believable to a point, and I was satisfied. Adding to the enjoyable animation, the animals all came to life because of the vocal talent utilized to bring these varied country critters to life. Truth be told, it was actually a lot of fun hearing the different personalities come out of the computer-generated designs of the animals. Plus, in this second form, we get some fun slapstick humor, as well as some explosions from dynamite. Since the story is told primarily using this second method, I was very happy and very pleased with how well everything looked. The third method of storytelling actually uses short animated sequences to retell past events or to conclude the story. These moments look like water-painted animation sequences, and it was a delight. This particular method was a surprise because it showed an incredible amount of creativity in storytelling to make sure that we, as the audience, never got bored. It was actually this third animation style that I enjoyed the most overall about the film. Peter Rabbit is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am going to recommend a big screen viewing. I saw this movie with my nieces, my nephews, and their friends, and I believe that's how we're supposed to actually see this film as a family. The story itself does get a bit predictable because we understand who these characters are from our previous understanding of the actual tale. However, it is fun, it does get a little bit goofy, there's plenty of laughs, and surprisingly, it does get kind of dark for a kid's movie, at least once or twice. At the beginning of the film, we have someone who actually dies. Later in the film, there's a confrontation where the animals are actually trying to kill a human being for a second time. Dark. However, as I just stated, this is a family film, and I believe that if you are going to see this on the big screen, go ahead and take a family day. That way you can all enjoy it together. At no time during the film was I ever bored. I never wondered how much longer is this going to go on. I suffered 0 eye rolls. And because of that, it's getting at least 1 high five from this guy. Peter Rabbit is playing at your local movie theater right now. Check it out. And that wraps up the movie reviews. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I do appreciate it. We're going to move now into what's arriving at your local movie theater this week, what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater this week, as well as certified rad. So let's take a look at what's arriving in the box office this week. In theaters this week, Black Panther, Early Man, Samson. So Early Man is that stop motion animation style that is coming out that looks like the cavemen versus the age of bronze, as is stated in the trailer. It's got a pretty good voice cast. The trailers really haven't sold me on the movie, so I'm hoping that the film itself is much better than the trailers lead us to believe it will be. Now, we did have Paddington 2 come out, then we had Peter Rabbit come out. So thus far, we've had some pretty good family films drop in theaters. So I'm hoping that this is kind of going to continue that trend where Early Man is actually going to be more enjoyable than what my initial assumption about the film is. The stop motion animation style, it doesn't really excite me to see it, but at the same time, I'm not one of those people that's like, well, I have no desire to see a stop motion animation feature. It's cool. I mean, it looks fine. It looks like it's gonna have some humor in it. I'm not like, I can't wait to get out to see this like I am for other films, but hey, if you guys are excited to see it, go ahead and comment below as to why. And maybe someone reading that will see your reason for being excited, and then you may spark some excitement for them as well in the comments. Next up is a limited release religious pick called Samson. And if you know the biblical story of Samson, he's kind of like Hercules, but then he gets betrayed, he loses all of his strength, and he gets tortured, and then he comes back and just kind of wreaks havoc on everything. So if this is actually dropping in a theater near you and you enjoy the religious movies that deal with stuff from the Bible, you may want to check this out. I haven't really seen much of anything from this. I've only seen one trailer, but I do know that the story of Samson is very violent. So if that translates from the written page to the big screen, you may want to be prepared for that because he does go through and he's got wars and battles and stuff that he fights. So there could be a high body count for this film. So just be prepared for that. I don't know how much of the actual torture / mutilation they're going to be doing to Samson once he's imprisoned. So you may also just want to keep an eye out for that too, because this film has a lot of potential to be very dark, very graphic, very violent, and very bloody. But again, it's a religious picture, so if you're into that type of thing, you may want to check it out if it's playing at your local area. Like I said, it is being limited release. Next up is going to be Black Panther, Marvel Studios' last film before Avengers Infinity War. This is going to kind of tie up all of the independent stories that we've been seeing leading up to Infinity War. And then, you know, just a couple months from now, we're going to get that Infinity War. But right now we've got Marvel's Black Panther, and I am very excited to see this film. I can't wait to see kind of what this world is going to look like. A technologically advanced society that most people didn't even know existed, just to kind of see what's going on there. We're going to get to see a lot of cool futuristic stuff. Like in the trailers, we saw them flying planes just using their hands, no steering wheels. There's force fields. The new vibranium suit that Black Panther has looks super dope. I really can't wait to see this. It comes out this week, and I'm probably going to see it 2 or 3 times before I drop my review, because I have just in my head, I've got this idea that I'm going to see the movie, I'm going to be blown away, it's going to be too much to process, I'm going to want to see it again right away, and then after that I'll be like, okay, cool, and then I'll probably do the review, and then I'll see it a 3rd time and come back and edit my review. Like I just have a feeling that this is going to be an incredibly well-made film, and it's going to be up there with Winter Soldier. Now, if you've seen my ranking of the MCU, and that covers everything from the first Iron Man all the way up to Thor Ragnarok. If you haven't seen it, I'll throw the card up right here. You can click on that, and that goes through literally my listing of where I think all the movies fall leading up to Black Panther. You can check that out. But Winter Soldier, by far, still my favorite. If this film is able to deliver, this could be right up there with Winter Soldier. I'm not sure it will be able to top Winter Soldier, but I think it could be in the top 3, maybe top 5, depending. My big question that I have isn't anything necessarily about the characters in this movie or anything like that. My big question is, which Infinity Stone do they have? Do they have the Infinity Stones? And then kind of where can we go from there? What can we expect? What new hypothesis can we create for Avengers Infinity War? The characters and the costumes in this film all look great. If you've been following them online, you've seen like the little photos that they drop, kind of just promotional ad stuff to show kind of some of the scenes where people are in combat. It all just looks incredible. You just take this country that's technologically advanced, you put them in all of these different colors and bright color clothing and everything else. I just can't. It's just so good. I can't wait to see this movie, see how it ties everything up, see where it could possibly lead us for Infinity War. It's like this, I'm in this weird spot where it's like this is the stepping stone to get to Infinity War, but it's still going to be so great. I don't think it's going to feel like just the film we have to see before we see Infinity War. I hope that made sense. So I can't wait to see Black Panther. Again, I'll probably see it 2 or 3 times before I actually get my review done, because I just have this feeling deep inside my brain box that this film is going to knock it out of the park, and it's going to be right up there near the top with Winter Soldier. Comment below with your thoughts about Black Panther. How excited are you to see this film? And more importantly, how many times do you think you're going to be at the theater opening weekend? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what is arriving on DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater. On DVD and Blu-ray this week, Wonder, Roman J. Israel, Esquire. Both of these films I definitely think you should check out. Now, out of the 2 of them, I'm going to go ahead and say that Wonder is by far a better film just from beginning to end. Wonder was one of my favorite films last year. I absolutely was blown away by how good this movie is and how it just gets to just the root of being a good person and what it means to overcome obstacles and challenges and people's prejudices and people's biases and still be a good person at your core. I absolutely loved Wonder. If you haven't seen my review for it, I will throw the card up here for you to check that out. It's an incredibly touching film. Everybody in it does a really good job acting in their role. There's even some tension towards the end where things start happening and like you just sit up in your chair and you're like, I swear to everything holy, if anybody dies in this movie, I will burn this theater to the ground. And it literally takes you on this journey because you care about these people so much that towards the end of the film, when the stakes start to get raised a little bit more, it starts to get pretty intense before the whole movie kind of resolves itself. I'm not going to give anything away because I really want you guys to check this movie out. I think it was one of the best films released last year. So Wonder, definitely worth your time. Pick that up on DVD and Blu-ray. Stream it if you prefer that method of watching movies. Do what you have to do, but definitely check out Wonder now that it's going to be available on DVD and Blu-ray. Roman J. Israel Esquire was an okay movie. I don't really think that it went where it wanted to go as far as like story and character development and everything else. I've said it before, I will continue to say it. Denzel knocks it out of the park. The rest of the movie around him is just kind of okay, but it's his performance that really stands out. Now, I did review this, so after you go back and you watch the review for Wonder, you can hop over and you can check out my review for Roman J. Israel Esquire. Just go right to the movie review playlist. It'll be right there and you can watch it and you can get all my thoughts there before you check it out on DVD and Blu-ray. All right, now we're gonna move into my favorite segment of the show. You guys never know what's gonna drop, but I can guarantee that whatever drops will most definitely be certified rad. All right, this week for Certified Rad, we have Black Panther coming out. We're gonna stick with Black Panther stories. On this show, we have covered other inspiring Black Panther stories from people trying to raise money to help kind of take inner city kids and inner city youth to the movies to check this film out once it hits theaters, which is happening this week. So we're gonna continue with that theme. We're gonna keep moving forward with Black Panther goodness because I think most of us, if not all of us, are getting really excited now that it's opening week and we can finally put our butts in the theater to enjoy this film on the big screen. So we're gonna take a look at one celebrity and a business that are coming together to join forces to get even more people to see this film, but they're getting people to see this film before it's released in theaters. That's right. They have an opportunity to get an advanced screening with other celebrities tomorrow. That's Tuesday before the film drops in theaters. And I think that's pretty rad. So if you click on the description box below and you expand that, you're going to see an article there from comicbooks.com and it actually explores what's happening here in greater detail. But to summarize it for Certified Rad, the rapper slash actor T.I., who you guys may remember in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the movie Ant-Man, is teaming up with Wal-Mart, that's right, Wal-Mart, to get fans of the Marvel films and of the Black Panther fandom into the theaters to see this film tomorrow. If you live in the Atlanta area, you may want to check that article out again in the description box below, and that'll give you info on how you may be able to get in to see Black Panther with T.I. and other celebrities Tuesday, tomorrow, before it's released in theaters Thursday night, Friday morning. And when you're a celebrity and you have a little bit more influence and you team up with another giant business that has a lot of influence and you say, look, we're going to do something special for the local community here in Atlanta where a lot of the Marvel films, almost all of the Marvel films are shot, that is most definitely certified rad. All right, and that wraps up this week's brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode and sticking with us all the way to the finale here. Hope you guys enjoyed all of the content that we discussed this week. And if you did, go ahead and give me that thumbs up because the thumbs up actually helps other people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. Again, if you're brand new, thank you so much for joining us. If you're returning, again, thank you as well. If you haven't yet clicked that subscribe button, go ahead and click that subscribe button and also hit that bell so you get all the notifications once new content drops on this channel. All right, everybody, I got to get out of here because it's time for us to go live on Facebook. That's right. We're going to talk the weekend box office and maybe one or two news stories, but head on over to Facebook Live and check us out because we're going to be talking movies here in just a few minutes right after this episode ends. But if you can't make it over to Facebook Live, don't worry. The replay will be available right here on the YouTube channel a little later today, so you can always go back and watch it then. All right, everyone, it's time to say goodbye. Hope you guys have a great week. I hope I see you on Facebook Live, and I can't wait to talk more movies with you. Thanks again, and have a great week. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Jeremy Brunansky, and you've just finished watching another episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Along with the weekly show, we also have special segments, as well as DVD and video on-demand reviews that you may want to check out. Thank you so much for watching this brand new episode, and we'll see you next Monday at 10 a.m. PST for another brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Have a great week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.